Would a win on Sunday prove the Pats made a mistake in trading Jimmy G?
No, it would not. It would not prove that the Patriots made a mistake at all, because if Jimmy G was in New England this year with the weapons that Tom Brady had available to him, he'd be home watching the Super Bowl just like Tom Brady is right now. So that in and of itself is validation that that's not the case. Jimmy G deserves our respect. And like I said, I'm not trying to disrespect the man. The man got $137.5 million. I didn't poo-poo that. He signed $72 million in guaranteed. I'm not averse to that. And we know that he's been the starting quarterback, and when he's been behind center, they've won their football games. All I'm saying is there's a multitude of weapons that you get to before you even get to the starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. But that doesn't take away from his skill set. In the end, however, you got to take everything needs to be contextualized, and it needs to be relative to one another. If Jimmy G were in New England, if you can sit up there and say the New England Patriots that you saw this year would be in the Super Bowl if Jimmy G was quarterbacking, then that's a valid reason to say they should regret it. But just because he's in the Super Bowl with San Francisco with the weapons he has available to him is not proof that a mistake was made.
You don't even need me here. You could argue with yourself. Because, see, I remember the things you say. We've been doing this show for 3.5 years.
I actually don't think you do.
I remember the things you say. Well, not everything. You say a lot. But I remember most.
Nobody speaks more than you.
The point is.
Okay, here we go.
That is a punchline.
That should be another topic.
Oh, my gosh, y'all are too much.
So,
go ahead, Max.
You give Tom Brady, religiously, as you would say, credit for winning the Super Bowl. You give him credit for it. They scored 13 points in the Super Bowl. He rode a defense and running game and the greatest head coach and GM of all time. He threw an interception to end the AFC championship game. It was called back because of a pre-snap penalty, which had nothing to do with anything. You got lucky. And then they scored 13 points in the lowest scoring Super Bowl ever, and you give Tom Brady credit for it, talking about, see, it wasn't a mistake to get rid of Garoppolo. They won the Super Bowl. Then you turn around and don't give the same logic to Garoppolo. Let me explain to everybody what's happening with Jimmy G.
Kind of true.
People are conflating two ideas. What conflate means is you take two ideas and you incorrectly kind of combine them into one idea.
Spelling
just
bees,
because
dictionaries, definition tests.
That's right. Conflate. You got a new word. Just because Jimmy G is not always asked to do a lot in the offense in order to win, although when they're trailing in the fourth quarter, when it's a close game, in clutch situations, he's excellent. He has elite numbers. But just because generally Shanahan doesn't ask him to win the game, you're conflating that with he can't win the game? The man is, forget about the 2-0 with the Patriots, 21-5 for a team that is 3-13 without him. You think that's just abracadabra, hocus pocus? This dude gets up and gets lucky? Nah. If he wins the Super Bowl, of course he shows they made him a mistake trading him. What is he, 25 years old?
No, but see, that's the point. You don't get to say they made a mistake right now. This is about the longevity of a career. It's about the next decision you make after Tom Brady. So there are still things and pieces that you can put together to say, okay, at the end of his career, we look at Jimmy G and see what he became, and that was better than having Tom Brady for 2 years or for 3 years or for 4 years. But in this same span of time, when you're speaking of Jimmy G's wins, the Patriots have been the same. The Patriots have been to 2 Super Bowls. The Patriots have won a Super Bowl. So it's not necessarily that you lost out on Jimmy G, because with Jimmy G, you weren't going to get Kyle Shanahan. With Jimmy G, you weren't going to get Deebo Samuel and Emmanuel Sanders and George Kittle. And those are the things that has that offense running the way it is. Now, if he wins 4, if he wins 5, and if a Bill Belichick-led New England Patriots can't get back to the Super Bowl or can't get past this monster that Jimmy G is playing this week, that's a different conversation. But you're looking at it in like a microwave, like it's so hot right now, it's so heated that they had to make a mistake.
I'm looking at it like this. Right now, Jimmy G's better than Tom Brady. Today, he's better than Tom Brady.
See, I don't believe that. I believe
what about all the experience Tom Brady has?
Sure, that's why he's still an NFL quarterback, in spite of the fact that he misses wide, right, left, short, deep, everything, and he's not good under pressure anymore when the blitz comes and stuff like that.
This is why I know you're reading the numbers and not watching the game. When you watch this offense and the way you watch the way that Kyle Shanahan runs an offense, Jimmy G is throwing from clean clean pockets. He's getting opportunities in misdirection and boot game. Tom Brady could do those things. They're half boots where he throws back. There's also one reads off of RPO.
And Jimmy G could have scored 13 points in the Super Bowl last year.
And I'm not saying that he couldn't have.
Dude's 15
but you gotta look
years
at the
younger,
rest. You gotta look at the rest of the season that Tom Brady is carrying. To say that Jimmy G is there now is disrespectful to Tom Brady, his career, and the Patriots.
Well, what's also disrespectful is Max lying to the American public. First of all, I never raved about Tom Brady in his performance last year in the Super Bowl against the Rams. Matter of fact, we religiously came on the air and talked about how horrific both offenses had performed in the Super Bowl. It was the most boring Super Bowl that I ever witnessed, and I was disgusted because I was in attendance for it instead of watching it on my television. I didn't even get the luxury of watching the commercials, for crying out loud. So I was ticked off by that. That's number one. Number two, I recall raving more about Tom Brady in a loss to the Eagles where he threw 500-plus yards than I did about the victory, but you didn't bring that up. Number three, again, when we talk about Tom Brady in comparison to Jimmy G, I have religiously stated, put this year's version of Tom Brady, who wasn't that impressive, but I constantly point to him being bereft of weapons. I said, put him in San Francisco with Kittle, with Debo Samuel, with Emmanuel Sanders, with that running game, with that offensive line, with that defense that gives you a multitude of opportunities because they shut opposing offenses down, and watch what he did. So I have religiously stated, you cannot judge Jimmy G compared to Tom Brady right now because they haven't done it. But wait a minute. But I also didn't say this about Jimmy G. I never said Jimmy G couldn't play. I never said that. What I said religiously was, you think about 4 different layers before you get to Jimmy G.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Is that not true?
You're going to say...
Is that not what I said?
Sure. If you're going to say...
At least you're willing to admit that.
If you're going to say that Tom Brady could do this year with San Francisco what Jimmy G has done, I'm going to tell you Jimmy G could have done with the Patriots last year what Tom Brady did.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.